Hey guys, and welcome to this video on solving linear inequalities in two variables. So let's make it happen. Alright, remember earlier when we discussed how to solve inequalities that involved just one variable. For example, negative 2x plus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 13, or negative 3x minus 5 is less than negative 23. So why don't you take a second to pause the video. Please solve each of these inequalities and graph them on the number lines below. Alright, now note that in each case, we graph the solution set to the inequalities by shading what I'll call half of the real number line. In each case, there was a number that acted as a boundary of sorts between all numbers that were solutions to the inequality and those that weren't. In the first example, that number was 8. In the second example, that number was 6. Note, of course, we filled in the 8 because that was part of our solution set because it was x is less than or equal to 8. 6 we left not filled in because it wasn't part of our solution set because it was x is strictly greater than 6. Also earlier, we discussed compound inequalities, where we had two inequalities involving the same variable at the same time. For example, negative 2x plus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 13, and negative 3x minus 5 is less than negative 23. And in this case, we were looking for numbers that made both of these statements true at the same time. And we did this by graphing each of them individually on the same number line and seeing which numbers were shaded twice. Those numbers would represent solutions to both of the individual inequalities and thus the compound and inequality. In this section, we're going to be solving very similar inequalities, only now our inequalities are going to involve two variables. For example, 3x minus 4y is less than or equal to 12. And now we're looking for ordered pairs of numbers, x comma y, such that when we substitute both numbers in for the respective variables, we get a true statement. Now, unlike before, when our inequalities had only one variable, and we could graph the solutions on a one-dimensional number line, now our inequalities are going to have two variables, so we will need to graph them on a two-dimensional plane.